All right, the meeting is live and Joe's taken over.
Okay, thank you, Kathy. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the August meeting of the Lower Makefield Township Historical Commission. We have a kind of little different agenda tonight. We're going to spend most of our time um, preparing for the ghost tour at Slate Hill Cemetery. But before we do that, there's a couple other topics that we'd like to address. To start the meeting, I'd like to get review and approval of the July meeting minutes. Actually, before I do that announcement, Chris really resigned from the Historical Commission. For good reason, he has a great new position in his company, but that position has taken him out of town, and he hasn't been able to make meetings. He thought he'd be able to start making it again in the fall, but he wrote me and said he wasn't able to do that, and he resigned from the commission. So first of all, I'd like to thank Chris for his years of service on the commission, for being our secretary. It was really wonderful having him there. I told him if things settle down and he's looking for something to do with his spare time, to please reach out to us because we'll be here. So hopefully we'll be able to see him again in the future. The second thing that necessitates us needing a new secretary. Now, we only have 4 more meetings to. We usually vote officers in at the end of the year. So if we want, we could just rotate it for the next 4 months and then actually just, address the issue in January. So is there anyone in the room who would like to take over as full-time secretary? Am I seeing?
I nominate Helen.
Helen's vice chair.
Helen says she didn't mind doing the job, Joe.
Who's that? Helen, you want it? Helen wants to do it? Thank you, Helen. Okay,
Thank you, Helen.
she'll be the all-in-one vice chair and secretary. Okay. Okay, so now with that in mind, we have the July 2024 meeting minutes. Were there any comments or suggested changes to those minutes?
No.
Not, can I hear a motion to approve? Kathy?
Motion.
And Jeff makes the motion.
Second.
Kathy seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, very good. Motion approved. Okay. The next thing I wanted to talk about is the upcoming Community Initiative Award on September 14th. So just to kind of figure out where we are with our planning for that. I exchanged emails with Tom this week. Tom's ordered the ice cream, so that will be there. Our speaker or our presenter, I should say, is confirmed. She will be there. As if you recall by email, I had sent some emails out to other government officials, to our Board of Supervisors, people in the township. I haven't gotten many responses. I didn't expect many responses. I'll send another email out to them in beginning of September, just to remind them that the event's coming up on the 14th. The other thing, and Monica and I were exchanging an email on this yesterday, is I think the best way for informing the public is to use social media. So I know, Monica, you have an Instagram account for Slate Hill Cemetery. Kathy, you have one on Facebook. We have the township accounts. We can talk to Dave or Jim and make sure it's posted there. And then, as I mentioned, Tom's always had luck with posting things on Lower Makefield's a great place to live, and we can post it there too. So that would be my recommendation. I don't know whether we should do it now. I mean, we have a month, or whether we should wait till after Labor Day. What are people's thoughts?
The Lower Makefield group will only let you post an event once, so that needs to be timed kind of perfectly. I can start posting it on the Facebook, our page.
I have one, do I have to push this?
Yes, it's good. Well, it's good.
Yeah, okay. I have one thought. Would it be better on Facebook to create an event that people can RSVP to or whatever and share, and then we can share that on the pages? I think that's what we should do, is have an event. Cool? Okay. I will make that.
I could do that,
Oh,
Monica.
thank God. I do it wrong.
Yeah, don't. Joe, just so you know, we have 2 volunteers in our audience too, so they were actually waving, good idea, good idea.
So Kathy, you will create an event then that could be shared on all of those feeds, all of the various Facebook feeds that we mentioned, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right, very good. The other is I did reach out to Jennifer Stark and asked her to send it to the Lower Makefield Township Historical Society. And I reached out to Susan Taylor from Yardville Historical Association and asked her the same. So hopefully, that there are good audiences. That's a great way to reach out by email. But I do think that the social media is probably going to be the best way for informing the public.
For sure. Can I add something that's outside of marketing about the event?
Yes.
So we have an agreement with Frank to use his space. He and I walked the space out for the tent, so we're good there. We also have access to power. So I realize we probably want some sort of podium and mic or something like that would be nice. So I've asked Suzanne if the township has some sort of like travel kit for things like this, and she's checking into it for us. But if that doesn't pan out, I just wanted to bring it up to the group if anyone has access to something like that, if you're part of an organization that uses something like that.
I may have something.
Okay, cool. So we'll talk offline. That's great. I'm hoping the township can help us, but that's all.
Monica, anything else you could think of with regards to the event on the 14th?
No, that's it. I just wanted to talk about, we might need some chairs. It sounds like everyone has a few chairs. I think we should just have a few chairs there for us. And I think we should have a mini, maybe a few of us prepared to take groups on a mini tour. Kathy, you and I can talk about that, but that's pretty simple. And I think we're just going to keep it casual, but I think it would be nice if we can have just a podium and mic so the few people that speak feel heard and special. And there'll be ice cream, so it's going to be great.
Not going to be bad when there's ice cream, right? Very good. Okay, if we're done with that topic, then I'd like to move on to the next, which is we've been talking about these America 250 events or exhibits. And we do need to start thinking about budgeting so that we could ask the township to budget money for 2025 that we need, for 2025 that we need to prepare for 2026, okay? So what I did is I just put on here 3 topics. These are topics that we have, discussed before. So one is, and we don't need to make a decision, but I'm assuming that Slate Hill Cemetery will do some type of special exhibit or event around America 250. It might be just highlighting people from the colonial era that are buried there or something like that. Is that okay, Monica?
Hell yeah. Everyone else agree? I mean, why not? We put so much work into it. Absolutely.
I don't know, you'll have to tell me whether there's any special budget you'll need for that, but, I'm assuming that, again, it depends. You might just go with extending the QR code project, or you
Yeah.
might have something else. But if there's something that you have in mind that needs budget, please let me know.
Okay, we'll start thinking. If you have any ideas, let's talk.
The other thing is that we had discussed the potential of at Macclesfield Revolutionary War encampment, or a Revolutionary War encampment at Macclesfield Park, right? We had talked about we could do it as an event, or we could also do it as an exhibit, or we could do it as both, an event and an exhibit. I do think it's that's a good one to bring on because we know the troops were here. We have documentation that they were here, and we know which actually battalions, I guess they would be, were actually stationed. So we could actually do something around that if we were interested. The third one that I put down was this idea of Washington's path when Washington rode from Somerset up to the Keith House in Upper Makefield. He had to cross through Lower Makefield. And I mentioned before that Helen and I started to do some research into what roads were there at that time. I mean, that research needs to continue. One of the ideas that we had was to line the streets with, 250 1776 flags, and that might be a really good way of demarcating the path through Lower Makefield Township. We also talked about an event like a bike race or a walk run or something like that, or even Helen mentioned a dinner with Washington. So I just wanted to kind of get people's feedback in terms of, what they were interested in. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen because of our effort. Maybe not our efforts solely, we'll get some support, but we're definitely going to need to be the ones who are doing most of the research and even making some recommendations around this. So on those other two topics, the Macclesfield reenactment or Washington's Path, what are people's thoughts? Are they interested in doing one of them? None of them?
I think a reenactment could be done at Macclesfield specifically for the time period in December before the crossing. I mean, that would be really awesome, have them pack up and then march to Washington's Crossing. I'm sure something is going to happen up there at that point in time anyway. So if we have a group of reenactors at Macclesfield, it's almost 2 weeks that they camped in Lower Makefield Fields. That was owned by Joshua Anderson at the time, and he was the captain. I think that would be an awesome thing to kind of try to create a regiment of young men to camp out at Macclesfield. It'll be during the winter, so probably fields will be okay in terms of usage, and there's plenty of parking. And we could create it someplace in the back there and then do that. As far as the path, he was back and forth across Macclesfield several times, but I think we could figure out a decent path with old houses and put, if we can get the QR codes, actually have a walking path using safe roads to travel on, safe with sidewalks, et cetera, and recreate, I would hope, a potential path for Washington, highlighting the house that was there when Washington walked through, which would be a really cool thing to do. I was visiting a homeowner today at one of the Slack houses, and she was saying, we have a sidewalk now. It would be really interesting to have a particular marker, et cetera, for the house, maybe just for this celebration, or maybe long-term with, to have some kind of celebration of the fact that it was here in 1776.
I'm wondering if we couldn't collaborate with Summerseat and Upper Makefield, with Morrisville and Upper Makefield on that, Helen, and just kind of show the whole path,
Yep,
right? Best we know.
sounds good to me.
Yeah, I think I love the path, and I think the majority of the work is just defining what the path is.
Yeah.
And getting the approval of where to put things, but on the whole, it's minimal labor,
Right.
right? Which I love. And I think it's so cool, the idea of having the regiment march up to Washington Crossing for the crossing. If we can find people that will do it, I love it. That one intimidates me a little bit more logistically, but I think they're both really good ideas, and none of them are totally out of the sphere of possibility.
Right.
I would say with Macclesfield, yes for the regiment, but I would think about an exhibit, because when we had an email exchange with Bucks County, what they're looking for are stops along the way for the whole year, right? For visitors to attend. And if we said that we had an exhibit around the troops, and I mean, it could be a few boards, it could be a few tents that are set up just to show. We don't have to have people there, all these weekends, but it could be something that they would publish for us, right, and promote for us. So I would think about, first and foremost, the exhibit, and then if we could find a regiment who was willing to be there one of those days or one of those weekends, then that would be awesome.
We also have a second path that could go from Falls Township, if we got Falls to cooperate. I'm sure there was an encampment at Falls as well. And it would go up Township Line Road, past the octagonal schoolhouse site, up that road to 532, because that existed, Lindenhurst, and, that existed. So that would be a second path, that they could follow from. The one at Macclesfield would go up Darlington Road, all the way through our township's houses up near Darlington Road, and then up to 532 there. They would meet up That would be an awesome thing to have people coming from various sections of lower Bucks County meeting up and walking to the crossing would be fantastic.
I mean, I liked the idea of lining the path with the flags too, because it becomes a visual marker for people and becomes something that people might be curious as to why are all these 1776 flags here? And then they can do a little bit of research to find out, that we're commemorating the path that Washington took after he crossed into Pennsylvania up to where he was headquartered before the crossing. Of course, after the crossing, he was headquartered in Newtown, but that house is gone, is now a gas station. So I don't know how historic that would be. So, but at least we could look at that. Okay, let's, if we were to begin to think about how to put together a budget for an exhibit at Makefield or an exhibit at an event, how would we do that?
Well, we need to decide what it is first. What's the exhibit? Are we talking about a couple of tents?
Well, but
we-
we
you
can
know-
contact reenactment groups now and ask them what it would cost to put out a reenactment group and whether they'd be willing to do it. I think that conversation has to start almost immediately. And then they can recruit whoever they want, and we could pay them if that's what it comes to. Uniforms are expensive, even fake ones. We can have all our handy-dandy sewers get out and do what they can. But, basically, I know that they are very expensive. But there are existing already colonial reenactors who are waiting for this opportunity. There's a couple websites on Facebook that we could get a hold of people and just start talking about it.
I think my question would be, what's the long-term exhibit that you're talking about, Joe?
Right.
And what we're comfortable leaving there for weeks, because I don't think we can leave a camp set up and
No.
expect it to still be there. So I think, we can come up with creative ideas of other things we could do, but I think that's more of a brainstorming session that needs some time. Like, I was thinking, I don't know if this would work, but one of the ideas that popped into my head, like, we could make huge wooden flats in a certain area and paint them so it looks like a scene of an encampment from a certain angle in that spot. Like, this is what it looked like. Kind of the idea of like holding an old photo and taking a picture and do an old photo to match. Something like that could be up for months if we wanted, and it doesn't have much of a loss. But that's the thing, what exactly are we doing? Because I think the encampment Helen's talking about is different than what you're talking about, Joe, as far as a long-term exhibit. We got to figure out what that is. Or are we putting mannequins in uniforms and we have to construct cases that can hold them and keep them safe for a couple months? I think we have to figure out what all those things are or what we
Yeah, I
want.
think as far as time, I think we should think of something that would be ideally in the entire year of 2026, the entire celebration, but definitely the last 6 months of it, like the summer through through the end of the year. Because Helen said they'll be, I don't know whether they're going to have their Washington's Crossing will be having a lot of their events that year at the end of the year. So at least 6 months, ideally the whole year, and we could find space down there. That's not a problem. But the question is, what would the exhibit look like? That would be educational, tell people about, why the troops were there, where the troops were, which troops they were, what did they look like, how did they sustain themselves for the weeks that they were there? I mean, that's all.
I would think, Joe, just thinking on top of my head, the stone barn at Wegmans, if that hasn't been used yet, if that hasn't gone into production for its ultimate purpose, might be a place that we could ask the shopping center people to allow something like at least a couple of horses and an occasional reenactor just to kind of hang out permanently with a little bit of it would be great if we could get in the barn and use part of that or the house as part of because that was clearly there in 1776, and I expect, we've never been able to determine which officers there were in that site, but I strongly suspect there were Washington's officers in that house and barn. Just saying, suck them in, maybe they would be willing to help us.
I guess my question about this, to be very honest, is who's going to work on this? I mean, because I have a number of things I'm working on with the Patterson Farm Implementation Committee also, so I don't have a lot amount of time. We're all doing a lot of things, so do we have time to do this? Because the impression that I got when I talked to David was that if it's going to happen, it's, there's people to support the Historical Commission, but the Historical Commission needs to make it happen. Or do we just give a few ideas over to Parks and Recreation and say, if you're interested in doing something, that's fine, here's a couple of ideas, and, we just do something in Slate Hill.
What I like about the historic trail, Joe, is that while we can do the marking of it, and that can sit for the whole year, we can do QR codes where you can stop and get information about what you're seeing along the way between Morrisville and Washington Crossing, for example, which according to Google is about 8.6 miles. One of the things I've seen other groups do is rather than try and get a bunch of reenactors to walk the trail, again, 8.6 miles is a lot for hiking in full continental soldiery, maybe a bike or a bike race or a bike, like a 5K, but an 8.6. So we can launch it with a bike race or a run, and then basically all we've got to do is coordinate with the local police departments for the traffic control for that day, for that event. But then we've marked it, everyone's seen it, that's the kickoff, and anybody can ride it at their leisure anytime during the year, and all the information about it can be on semi-permanent signs with QR codes and such along the path.
Right. I think that's a great idea. I think, and there's a lot of great ideas. I guess my question to the commission, is there anyone on the commission who's interested in leading America 250 for Lower Makefield?
If someone else takes over the historic survey.
I can't hear what he said.
Who's gonna lead it? Takes over the historic survey. So Joe asked who's gonna lead the 250? Who's gonna lead the 250?
What Chris was doing.
No, he's saying who's gonna lead this project of the 250 and just like make sure it happens like I do with the ghost tour. You know? It's not-
I mean, otherwise, I think what I would propose is that we have a couple of good ideas. I'll send them to David and say, but the Historical Commission doesn't feel it has the capacity to take on the planning and execution, but is willing to help if someone from the township, if someone else from the township is willing to take the lead.
Yeah, see what that gets us.
Okay?
I
All
think,
right.
Joe, can we just say, that I think it's going to end up being pop-up things that we end up doing almost on the fly for some of it. But I think a marker, at least, of the paths and researching that, I'd be willing to hit that up.
We're researching the path, yes. Okay,
Yeah, basically, the twin paths from Macclesfield and the other path from the edge of the township past the octagonal building would be a cool thing to do, and I'd be happy if Jim and Mitch, everybody who wants to work on it will do it. We're going to need signage probably, more than anything else, so I like Monica's idea of a triangular kind of what you were talking about, sort of a vignette of what it could be possible. Would be fun to look at placing along the path.
okay, I mean, I
Do you
guess.
know, do you know of any reenactors, artillery units, strictly artillery units?
I know they exist. They're in New Jersey, most of them. But I do know some down on the Eastern Shore as well.
Okay, I think that people love
Oh, they love the Big Bang.
cannons going off.
Yeah,
And I think having that at Macclesfield, possibly, or anywhere else,
yeah.
would probably be, that would draw a crowd.
Okay, we'll work on
Let's
it,
look
see
into
what we
that.
can come up with. I'll have a report for you, let's say by the 1st of October, Joe, the first meeting in October.
All right, thanks, Helen. Again, I guess what we're trying to do is just figure out, what a budget number to use for next year, so that as we get into the execution of it, or even the planning of it, we have some money available.
Well, I think if we're talking about the path, if that's what Helen's willing to research, and thank you, I love that. We're really just talking minimal. We need to know how many stops there are. And if we want to flag in a QR code, that's pretty easy to price out. It's whether it's 10 or 20 or however many. And then the web developer guy, I'm sure from LMT, William, that's been helping us with with Slate Hill. So that's pretty easy to put together once we have an idea of the number of stops. I'm happy to help with that if you need that.
Yeah, the expense would be in a unit that wants to be paid for their services in a day. That would be the expense. And maybe we could seek sponsors for that kind of thing.
Good idea. All right, very good. I will let Dave know that we have these two ideas that we're looking at pursuing it. Okay? Okay, next topic is ghost tour planning. So Monica, I'll turn it over to you and let you lead that discussion. And I think you had a couple of other things you also wanted to touch on with regards to Slate Hill, correct?
Yes, absolutely. But let's jump into Ghost Tour because everyone's so excited, right? We're almost 2 months out. And a little different this year. I've kind of placed people in charge of different pillars, and you guys are running with it, and I'm so thankful. So I really just wanted to check in with each person that kind of had a plan, share with us your plan loosely, and what you need from any of us to move forward. And so I saw Victor. Oh, Victor, there. Hello. Victor just joined. Perfect timing, Victor. Do you want to just quick walk us through your logistics and marketing plans real fast and let us know anything you want us to be aware of?
Yeah, sure. So nothing has changed so much from what I sent out. The only thing I'm probably going to reconsider is having the police there, at least for liability's sake, having them there for traffic management. I did finally get approval from the American Legion for parking. They only have a little bit of concern initially at the start of the event because they will be unpacking from the Yardley Beer Festival. And then let me see here. I think that's pretty much about it. I don't think I have any other updates at this time, at least.
I have a question real fast. Didn't we use Wells Fargo last time too? Did you speak to them?
No, no. Last year we were not at least officially allowed to have anybody park there.
Oh.
They said it was a security issue and that the branch manager
That's
could
right.
not give us permission for something like that. Unfortunately, I guess they
Right.
don't have any, I guess because of the special alarms or whatever they have there.
Right. Fair enough. I've forgotten that. Unrelated or addition to it, would you be willing to talk to the Legion about getting us parking for the event on the 14th that we're doing, the award?
Yeah, I could do that.
Thank you. I already have the police for the 14th, but I don't have parking yet. So if you're talking to them, thank you.
No problem.
And then it looks like you're pulling something up. You want to take us through marketing?
Yeah, so I just try to pull up what I had here for that. It looks like I should be starting at least the social media side of marketing soon. I'm waiting till the end of the month to start putting up any sort of signs, at least for the yard signs. I want to, because we're going to be battling it out with, like last year, they get, unfortunately, depending on where you place them, at what time you place them, they get removed. And I don't want to waste any signs with that. So I'm going to try to be a little bit more strategic about when I place them and where I place them. I'm going to see about, I'd like to maybe get some up at Slate Hill specifically on the earlier side. But I just want to finish off figuring out, what locations would be worth actually having them at. Obviously, the biggest hits are going to be, obviously the township buildings there, having them at local schools, grocery stores, that sort of thing, where they have a high amount of visibility. And then big things can be events too. I'm going to try to have them at a couple at Harvest Day, and a couple at the beer festival as well.
Cool. And you have the design for that already, right, Mitch? For the yard sign?
Nothing's really been approved other than Victor liking it and saying this is gonna look good in your comments.
Okay.
So I brought it.
You brought it. Oh, great. Here's the yard sign.
This is
Ah,
what it's gonna look like. Again, it's gonna be on a 16 by 20 with H stakes.
oh, you got pressed here, Mike.
All right, this is what it's gonna look like. It's gonna be on a 16 by 20 coroplast with H stakes, just like we had last year. I chose the blue color because I'm looking around at signs all the time. It's just in my nature. And I noticed the ones I notice more are the ones that are in blue with white print. It's very clear, it's very open, and it draws your attention while you're driving. So this is this. I don't know if you want to change any wording. I know you asked me to change the time to 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. Other than that, what you see here is how it's going to look.
Dude, it's
If everybody's okay with that?
I love it. I can read it so well.
All right, now,
great.
the timing of it and the cost of it, road signs are full color, two-sided, 16 by 20 with the H stakes. Victor had said 25 would be his number, and that would run, I'm using a trade printer this time because it's much cheaper. I didn't realize I still had contacts with them, even though I haven't been in the business for many years. And 25 signs will be about $185 with the H stakes. That's two-sided print, which is a really good deal. I need a day to do the posting of the artwork to my supplier, and he is between 2 and 5 business days, depending on his volume. And if you want to pay for a rush, there's always rush charges and stuff like that. He'll deliver them to me for free, so there's no charge for the delivery. So we're looking at about $185 for 25 of these. And once we get it on with him, if we need more, we probably can turn them around in like 2 days once he has the original.
Okay.
But I would suggest to order as many of them up front and have them. And again, I know that Victor and I kind of talked that he was going to wait a little bit before he starts putting those out. I'd like to get started, if we approve these get these now and have them ready, and I can give them to you, Victor, and then when you feel that it's time, boom, done. Since this is approved, this is easy enough to do, so if everybody's okay with that, then I'll place the order tomorrow.
Yeah, let me just finish up the count to make sure I have a full exact count about how many we should order.
Okay.
I'm happy with the design, and then, yeah, we can go ahead and order those. I'll have an answer to you by the end of tonight, at least on how many.
Okay. Again, keep in mind also, my son will be around, but I'm out of here August 27th to September 10th. I'll be in Europe, so I really won't be in the same time frame to stay with you guys. But my son will be around to take care of any questions and deal with whatever
Okay.
we had to
So
do.
anyone that's asking Mitch for any printed materials, please be aware of those dates. Same again?
27th of August to the 10th of September.
Okay.
Coming up.
Yep.
I just want to say, I just quick went to the tiny URL on there, and Victor has created this that I wasn't aware of, but it's amazing. Kind of a landing page with the ghost tour, with the sign up, with late articles. I mean, awesome. What is this, Polycam scans? Is this, look at this.
Do you want a copy of this for the
It's so cool. Amazing, Victor. And I even clicked on the sign up, and that takes us straight to our, it did a second ago, so it should, to where you get the tickets. No, come back.
Victor, I'll put up a sign in my yard. It's very noticeable because
Yeah,
it's right
that's
on
great.
Edgewood Road, so that'd be good.
Amazing. Awesome. Thank you, guys. Okay, Victor, back to you and marketing. I'm going to stop sharing screen once I can figure out how to do that. Victor, you have anything else to add for marketing?
Nothing to add right now. The only thing left I think we have to just finish approving is, I guess, the flyer, and
Yeah.
then once we discuss printing for that.
All right, well, I brought a couple samples here. You can pass them down. This is after getting input from, I'll give you one later. Getting input from a few people. I turned it into a little bit of a tombstone. I kind of liked the colors we used last year. All I did was reverse them. And I changed the different font to try to make it a little bit more readable. I used the same language in the middle about established in 1680. My question comes down to, I put at the bottom donations accepted. did we want to put a price on there? Because last time we spoke, we weren't sure how we were going to do the pricing.
No, we want people to get tickets in advance, and there's a website they should go to, so we should put that
Okay, so-
in there. It's a lot of words, but ultimately, we're trying to get people to get the tickets in advance, and there's a link.
Okay.
There is limited space for walk-ins, which I also want to call out, because people can
Okay.
show up if they don't have tickets, and hopefully
So
we
if you
get
could
in.
just send me an email with that information, and I'll redesign the poster to fit all that in.
I would say, personally, I think we can join us in celebration of Lower Makefield's community founders and war veterans. We've already talked about that. There's just so much text on here, we start to lose. I would lose that line personally.
If everybody's agreed with that, then
Yeah,
then I'll be glad to take it out.
yeah, especially because I'm gonna add more words, so anytime I add words, I try to figure out how to take some away.
Well, all right.
We could put the landing page on there and then just have, instructions as well as the link to the tickets on there.
Okay.
For sure.
Okay, once I know what you just
Do
said,
you would you like a QR code on there so people can quickly go to the site? Would that be helpful?
well, that's no big deal. I mean, I'll throw it on there anyway, whether you want it or not.
Well, no, because they're not pretty, I get it. So up to you, Victor, what you think. Just,
I mean, either or it's like, as long as it's eye-catching,
Well, I have room on the
Readable.
bottom right and bottom left where I can drop one in. That's not a problem finding space for a QR code.
Yeah, you can do custom QR codes with shapes, like I've done.
I can do that as
deer
well.
steins or ghosts, et cetera. So you just do it in
I don't
shape
want to
like
go
a
that
ghost.
far because that takes time and effort and
No,
energy.
no, it's actually free apps
So
to do it.
quick,
You just,
yeah.
you can literally do it like that with some
Now,
of
if
those
you got
free apps.
something, great.
Yeah.
Glad to plug it in. See, I'm used to designing from scratch.
No.
So to use other artwork doesn't always come into my head. All right, so
okay.
if this is okay, this is what we'll work with, the general format. You guys tell me when you want them. Price-wise, you're looking at flyers, full color, one-sided, 8.5 by 11 on 100-pound gloss book, which makes this really look great. 250 are around $105. Again, you got 1 day for business, the business days to do the artwork setup, and then 2 to 5 business days to get them printed. I can get these done a little quicker. Flyers are usually a lot faster than posters, than signs are. Or if we want to do 500, it's $175 for 500. Same thing, 1 business day and 2 to 5 business days. If anybody wants, I'll pass them down. You guys can. I don't know. Wait, that was my copy with my
Yeah,
notes
I
on it.
love one.
Oh, I passed one down already. Okay. I didn't bring enough because
So I'll
I got a
send
little
you the
printer
one
at home.
before that. Okay, next, anything else on marketing, my friend? Do you need anything from anyone?
No, the only thing I want to ask, do you know how many we printed last year? Off
How
the top
many
of your head?
flyers?
Yeah.
Flyers, we did 2 printings. We did 250 the first time when you had that community event up by the school here. And then we printed another 250 after that because you had about 100 or so left over. So we did a total of about 500.
We're not having that this year, so I'd say just do the 250, yeah.
I think so too.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
I'll bring some with me to Harvest Day
Yeah,
to pass out as well for that. So
In case you guys don't remember what last year's looked like, this was it. This wasn't the same paper, but, like I said, I kind of like the background. It's kind of like sepia, a little older look to it. And my son and I tried 5 or 6 different backgrounds, and none of them really fit the bill, in our opinion, anyway.
Okay, cool. Thank you, guys.
And it's shaped like a
Gravestone.
like a gravestone.
The way they should be shaped. Ours will soon. Jeff, you want to?
So mine's a bit shorter. Tom and I met before we had the meeting on the marketing with Jim, and we thought that the potential of having a food truck concession come in and park at the tail end of the tour on the street on the other side was an idea, but then we were talking in the marketing meeting about the potential for having a lot of the local restaurants sponsoring, and perhaps it wouldn't be such a great idea to actually sell food when our sponsors would be hoping for people having a meal before or after the tour, either in Mooresville or Yardley. So I just wanted to bring that up as a discussion point. Do we want to do a food truck, or do we prefer to people go to the local establishments that are likely going to be our sponsors?
I mean, I think the food truck came up last year, kind of last minute, as an idea of it's not really an event people are going to come eat at, but it was like, is there a hot chocolate truck? It was an idea like that.
Right.
So I don't think it's necessary, but if something like that's available, it could be fun and add to the spirit. But I personally am not envisioning like people having a meal there.
The only single food type of trucks I could find were ice
Ice
cream
cream, yeah.
and different frozen confections, and depending on the weather in October.
Yeah. Agreed.
So then the second part of the plan for concessions was basically, I'm going to start sourcing from the local dollar stores, anything that lights up, that the kids might have fun walking around the cemetery with. We'll buy them up at whatever the cost is, that bulk, and then sell them for, if it's $1 a piece, sell them for $2 a piece. So kids can have something that lights up, like a light up pumpkin or a light up necklace or something like that to walk through the cemetery at night with. So that'll be, and I'll have a table for that and chairs. And I'll just handle that through Venmo and then gather the money and transfer it at the end.
Okay.
I'd like to try to find more of those if I can find them at a discount price. Those lanterns that we actually use, because I think someone said before there's a lot of interest in people buying them.
Yeah, I found a certain batch of those on Temu that I could get at about, I think it was at $2.11 a piece. So we did buy, say, 100 of them. Maybe not 100 is too high. Maybe we buy 50 of them, and we could sell them for $5 a piece. They would probably sell. And they were Halloween themed with
Yeah,
either
they
cats
will,
or jack-o'-lanterns on them. So that's also something we could do if there's interest in doing that.
What about t-shirts?
Cool. Yeah. Then there's talk of,
So I actually love the t-shirt idea. The problem was t-shirts and inventory, that we have to actually store it between the years after we buy them and such. However, I did look into it, and there are on-demand t-shirt places where if we start doing it through the website where you sign up, if you want to buy a t-shirt, you could order it, pick the one you want out it, they print it and send it to you. So that might be something we want to do tied to this, as maybe as a all year to promote Slate Hill Cemetery with some of your good pun, cemetery tombstone type of jokes on them. I think that'd be great. But yeah, the idea of having them all printed up, then have to store them, and someone's got to keep them, and it just becomes a logistics problem for us.
I think if we sell anything like that there with an inventory, we need to probably partner with someone that has stuff that'll show up. Otherwise, us pre-printing a bunch of stuff seems like a hassle we probably don't want to deal with.
Yeah.
What about if
And
we
we
had
just
a
had to print any
contest?
t-shirts. Go ahead.
What about if we had a contest for the t-shirt design?
Ooh, that's fun. That's fun, and then we can sell them there. I like that idea. We still have to order them in advance, like have them, but that's a cool idea.
It might be a 2025 idea at this point, though.
Yeah, fair.
Just to run the contest, get the results, and
Yeah, fair.
we might be too tight on time for that now, but
Yeah.
I love that idea for later. Yeah. Or especially now that we're moving toward, what can we do full-time with Slate Hill running up to 2020?
Well, that'd be a cool way to involve like the schools and stuff when we start doing school tours and stuff. Oh hell, we're doing school tours of the cemetery. Check out my plan. It's in the plan. Anyways, so back to Slate Hill, or the tour. Anything else?
No,
Good?
that was pretty much
Awesome.
it.
Thank you. Kathy, you're next down the line. We'll just go down the line.
All right, oops, let me put my glasses on so I can see. We have the final list of 9 people for the ghost tour. There are 2 pairs, a husband and wife, and 2 brothers. So I think, let's see, 1, 2, 3. Okay, 3 of them were on the QR code list, so those stories are done. Ashley is doing 1. I have signed up for 3, and I have 2 left, and Dawn was something I was discussing with Dawn, who's a new volunteer, for those of you who can't see, maybe taking those on, because yeah,
Cool.
could use some help.
I love it. Thank you, ladies. Awesome. I think the date I gave you, you asked me the date for the final. Our performers aren't generally actors, so I tried to kind of help them the best we can as far as, last time we gave them outlines and just create the story you want. With most of them made them comfortable, but a couple were like, I just want to memorize the script. So I think once we know who the people are, which we do now, I can start finding our performers. If anyone has any ideas or suggestions, shout, because it doesn't just have to be people I know. But then based on their comfort level, I might have some requests for how the final story is presented, which is why I gave us a little wiggle room. The due date I gave you, I think, is almost 3 weeks before the event. So if we need to turn an outline into an actual written story, we have some time. But that's great. Thank you.
Yeah, 9/27.
Cool. Good. Anything else? All right. Jim, you're up.
Okay. Well, I met with Krista and with Jeff, and we discussed sponsorships. And we came up with a whole bunch of different ideas. Jeff came up with some great ideas. One of the ideas was that instead of offering banners and lawn signs, is actually to offer the sponsors tombstones with their information on it, which is a great idea.
This is how I saw it. This was one of the sponsors from last year. This would be, again, a 16 by 20 coroplast sign with H stakes. We could print one side or two, doesn't make a difference. And again, it looks like a tombstone. We put the sponsor's good artwork, it has to be good quality. And then at the top here, please support our sponsors. If you want to pass that down to look at, and tell me what you all think of it. I don't know if, Jim, how you feel about it. But
It's
it's doable.
Busy. It's pretty busy.
It's
though,
doable.
isn't
Well,
it?
it's busy because this particular vendor gave
Right.
us a big amount of information.
Right.
We can,
And that was for a program. If we said,
Yeah.
for a tombstone, give us a picture and your address or something
right,
like that.
exactly.
Yeah. It's,
Now,
I
there's-
thought it's a great idea.
There's
So
two
cool.
things that could be done with this. Now, you'll see it as, again, picture it in coroplast, the size, H stakes underneath here. If everybody is willing to put some time in, we can literally
We cut 'em
cut
out.
this out and make it really look like a tombstone
Yeah,
instead
I
of
think
just
we should
printing
do
it as a
that.
tombstone.
Right, you have to do
You
that.
have to get X-Acto knives or
Yeah.
fine razors, and
Right.
everybody's gonna sit and just kind of
Do 3 or 4
shape
each,
it
we're
for us.
done. It's
It's
not like
way
we have
too
that many.
expensive. It's way too expensive for a die cut,
Yeah,
which
no,
we
I
can
think,
do.
because this is easy to cut for.
Yeah, and again,
a
just since
layman.
we're talking about it, the pricing, the sponsors, full color, two-sided, 20 by 16 H stakes. We're looking at 10 signs, I'm assuming 10 sponsors just for minimum. You got $80, 20 signs are $135, and obviously, the cost goes down. It's $8 per sign at 10, $6.75 per sign at 20. And if you're getting 50, that would be fabulous. You're probably looking at about $5 a sign. And again, in the end, they could keep them.
Right.
Yes.
So are we doing similar last year? What did we do, like tiers? If you do this level, you get X, Y, and Z?
That's kind of interesting. How do you incent these people to actually participate? And we sort of discussed that. And it's really, we came up with ideas of possibly partnering with some of these sponsors in some way, shape, or form. And once again, Jeff had this idea. I'd like to give credit where credit's due, right? And that is, for instance, as an example with Wawa. So you go to Wawa, talk them into possibly offering a graveyard cup of coffee, for sponsoring the event, and drive people into their store. And that's really what these people want, is they can get some business out of it in some way, shape, or form. That's a way of incentivizing these people. A lot of people are going to become involved, and I've already talked to some of these sponsors from last year, because they're simply altruistic, and they want to
Yeah.
participate. So we also talked about who we should be approaching, and restaurants was one of the ideas, and particularly restaurants that are associated with that period of time. In other words, Continental Tavern, and try to... Charcoal? Was charcoal, what? Charcoal was there during the revolution? So, well, no.
Yeah, I think it was also the Robert Morris Tavern in Morrisville, because Robert Morris was the financier of the Revolution.
Right.
So obviously that building wasn't there in 1776.
Well, that's
but
something
it's
we
themed
discussed
after the
also,
Revolution.
and that was expanding the reach of the sponsorship, of the sponsors, as opposed to last year, because it was on such short notice, it was relatively confined to the borough of Yardley, and Lower Makefield, like, not Wegmans, McCaffrey's, that's expanding it towards Morrisville was a good idea. So what it really comes down to is face-to-face. It's really what it comes down to.
Right.
And-
So are you, because last year we went in saying, here's the 3 levels and the 3 prices. Are you planning to do that, or do you want to do a one-on-one, let's make a deal with each group?
We have to have a price list. You have to have a price list. You gotta have some kind of a reference. And then it's gonna be our job to actually trade them up.
Okay.
So I think we have to have a price list.
Okay, can you work one out with
Yeah,
Mitch,
sure.
just to make sure because that's really the only cost we have to cover, make sure we don't lose money on it, is we want to make sure anything we're offering them, they've paid at least for that.
Well, they
Paying
all,
$8, they'll cover it.
they all want to know what this is gonna
So are we
cost them.
doing,
Yeah.
are we doing this in lieu of a booklet? Or are we doing a booklet too? That's the question.
Well, if we do a booklet, the booklets last year, where were the booklets distributed?
At the event, it was like a program for a
At the
show.
event? Would the booklets be available directly to businesses downtown Yardley before the event? So that people know that, these people have,
We asked for a premium for the people advertising on the back of the booklet
Right.
and the inside covers.
Yeah, if we finish sales early enough, we can print it. It really is about when we end sales, when we can print it.
right.
You know?
The people, the sponsors would probably love to have these booklets with their names in them prior to the event.
Yeah,
So
I love
that-
it. Then time it out with Mitch.
Right.
How quick, because it's sponsors and then the stories, and we can get you the stories in 2 weeks, so it's really about the sponsors.
I would also say you don't really need to have a full booklet.
Yeah.
You can get an 8.5 by 11 single sheet, and then you got 4 pages on it that you can get plenty of nice-sized sponsored ads on it. Now, if you happen to need more than that, that's great. But on 4 folded like this, we could probably get 5 on 6 on every one of those 4 pages. And unless somebody wants to pay for a full page, they could buy a quarter page, they could buy a half page, I can give them the pricing, that would work for that.
That would be something that we'd have on the price list.
Yeah.
that'd
That's
be
what
available.
McCaffrey's always wanted to be the people on the back of the book or
Right,
the,
right.
with the most prominent spot.
Right.
Yeah.
So-
And
I
they
love
were
that. I
willing to
think-
pay for
I mean, you
it.
can put together a package of, you get a sign, you get your name in the folded program, whatever you want to call it. If you do one, it's this much. If you do it all, we give you a discount. I mean, there's lots of ways that you can,
And then
you
the
can work that
lawyers generally can't advertise, so this is a good way for them to make a donation to a 501c3 group and get
I
their
have,
name
I
out
have a
there.
friend actually in New Jersey who said he would actually get involved as a lawyer.
Yeah,
good.
well, they're not supposed to be
well.
advertised. Yeah.
Well, either way, I love this idea, and I think you guys just decide between you
Jim, you
two
and I just
timing
kinda
what's
work together.
possible
We have to do
and figure out
Timing's
the price list. Because I would love, I'd love all of us to jump in on helping with the sponsorship. So if you tell us what the tiers are and the deadlines so that we can go out to
Right.
other people, just let us know.
Also, they set their budgets at this time of year, so they probably just set their budgets at the end of June. Most of the companies, you know what I mean?
Right.
So they're starting out their advertising.
Right.
So do you have what you need, Jim? Do
So
you need
the
anything from us?
the assets, what we're going to need is we're going to need a price list, and we have the tombstones. And another idea that Jeff has, the people who sponsor, was to put these tombstones 2 days prior to the event along the outside of the cemetery.
I love it.
And leave them there 2 days after the event. I think it's a great idea if people driving in their cars can actually see these things and see who's actually sponsoring
Yeah,
this thing.
I love that. So
Again,
it's just all about
it's-
timing.
What do you
It's a
think?
I think it's great, but again, I'll work with you on, I'll work with your sponsors. Artwork has to be top-notch.
Yeah.
If you're going to give me a business card and have me scan it and then enlarge it, okay, Jones is going to look like something totally different. So it's really important, I can't emphasize it enough, that we get the best artwork possible. And I'll add to that, we can offer the guys who don't have good artwork the opportunity to design their own artwork, and I can have my son work for it with his business, and he can charge them a fee, and he can create, really high-end artwork for them.
Right.
It's also before the election.
We're
Just
competing with different types of signs then, yeah. So what if we gave them a, hey, Jim?
Whose name would you like to see on the tombstone? Yeah,
What if we actually gave them a set list of puns or jokes about cemeteries and bones they can choose from? So if they don't have artwork, they can choose, pick a bone with us, blah, blah, blah. Yardley
Right.
Smokehouse,
I
something
thought
like that.
actually, that maybe the tombstones should look like tombstones, that the script on the tombstone with the sponsor's name on it should look like the script on a tombstone. It was black on white or whatever, you could do.
That was it
It would
then, yeah.
stand out. It would stand out more rather than, and I understand this is really pretty involved.
Well, my thought on that is, I like it. I think it'd be really cool to be able to do that, put everybody's name on the tombstone like it's engraved on
Yeah.
it. But having been in the printing business for 15 years, people have logos. They spent a lot of money for the logos,
Yeah.
and they want people to recognize their logos, and they're going to push the logo.
Put the logo on there.
If it's
but
quality
keep it-
logo,
keep it
yeah.
less bit-
Yeah.
Put the logo on there. I'm not going to say they died on this date, but you keep the logo on there, but make it look more like a cemetery tombstone.
Sure.
So
Well,
if
I
you
think-
can play with that, that would be great.
Yeah, I think that can also be a specific conversation with them, because some of them might be
Yeah.
creeped out by that.
Well,
Some might
they're
love it.
going to
So it's
have an
just-
opportunity to have their name on a tombstone.
Cool.
Hey, one way or another.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
Practice.
Yeah.
Okay, I love that.
All
Okay,
right.
anything else?
Other than some of the ideas, that we came up with relative to sponsors to approach,
Great.
for sponsorship, which were the restaurants. But
Again,
Jeff again had a great
anything
idea.
we're gonna
I'd like to see a distillery get involved with possibly doing a Slate Hill Cemetery whiskey. I think it's a great idea. Somebody came up with the idea that maybe the Quakers wouldn't like that sort of thing.
They're not the only ones buried in
I
there.
don't, I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure about
Well,
it.
read their notes. They were.
Who would you,
hardcore.
would that be something, would that be a negative, do you think? If we actually approach the distillery? Because
I don't know who
think,
makes that decision, but I think it's great.
yeah, I could see a bottle of a very cool artwork on it,
And
doing
maybe
that.
for this year going into it, we get someone to make a cocktail that's just like for the week leading up. There's,
Right.
Vault could easily do that because I think it's also about
Right.
proximity. If they're too far, people are like, what the hell's Slate Hill? But if you do, a Van Horn,
Yeah.
Tipsy Van Horn or something like that's kind of fun.
There's all sorts of stuff you can do to make it fun for them and interesting, and they'll still get a bang for their buck out of sponsoring this.
I love it.
And I think it's important for these sponsors. Other than that, can we put a sponsorship form up on the website?
Yeah, and I think, I didn't know we had this site, but we have one, so
All right.
heck yeah.
All right?
I love it. So talk to Victor about what you want on there.
Okay.
He's gone, so.
No, I'm still here.
Oh, you are, sorry. I didn't see your
Just email
face.
over what you want on there and I'll put it up.
Thank you, Victor. I like volunteering for people for things when they're not here.
And then, after that, we talked about approaching business associations, Facebook organizations. I guess it's a relatively easy thing to do. If we want to put something, go to them and send something out to these business associations. What it's going to be, I don't really know. We're going to have a sheet that we're actually going to hand to people.
Which,
when-
is it
when
going
we
to
pitch
be
'em.
what Mitch showed us earlier?
I think it would be,
Gonna
the
this?
same, it'd be
Yeah,
the
this
same
is the
thing.
initial contact.
Exactly. We
Got it.
send that out to them.
Okay.
Right. And, other than that, again, it's just, it's door-to-door selling.
Yeah.
That's really what it comes down to.
Okay, well, if you can, we have 2 months, I realize, but I'm assuming you want to start selling soonish. if
I
we're
would love to,
backing-
now, keep this in mind, unfortunately, I'm gone on Friday for 3 weeks up in Maine.
Okay, well, get us
However, what-
started.
what-
Get us your price list and your schedule before you leave.
Maybe I could find some sponsors up there.
Hey, whatever, that's, yeah.
But
love it.
what I can do is I can go online and source potential sponsors. Well, as soon as I get back, we start, going out to people.
Okay,
When do you get back?
When am I back? The 9th of September.
9th of September.
Yeah.
You and I are kind of overlapping in
Yeah.
our absentees.
Yeah.
okay, so just.
When you have the price list, can you send it to me and I'll post it on the Facebook?
I'm sorry?
When you have the price
list,
list, can you send it to me? Or just send it to everybody? I'll get it on the Facebook?
I think we have to have, if you're
No,
gonna-
we want you to make it and
Oh,
give it
you
to
want me,
us.
wait a minute, what do you want me to do?
To make the price list. Please, and before, yeah, because we can use that,
Yeah, I'll
yeah.
tell you, okay.
You guys work together on the
Okay.
timing of the price list.
Okay,
Yeah.
no problem.
Because we don't, you're not doing it alone. We'll back you up, so you don't have to wait till 3 weeks to start.
Oh, no,
selling.
no. Well, I'm gonna get together with Mitch and
I love it.
we'll
Okay,
figure that out.
harassing me. All right. Okay, I think those are for the presentations. Anyone else have anything to add to Ghost Tour? Concerns, questions, excitements, ladies? You got your jobs? Thank you. Okay. Well, if that's it for Ghost Tour, I just have a couple quick Slate Hill things to add, to update everyone on. We have, where is it? The grant is official. We got the official documentation. We are ready to go, so that's exciting. The goal per our plan, so we have to spend the money by September 2026.
So these are for,
This is the grant for the restoration of the stones, the tombstones at Slate Hill. And we're splitting it into two projects. The first will be the segregated side, that our goal is to do this fall. And the second will be the larger first two sections that would be in 2025, in the spring. The actual work itself for the masons is like a week. So it's not a ton of work for them. The work is the prep on our end. And so what we need to do before we can do the segregated side, well, both sides really, is a legit survey. And Victor, I know we talked a little bit about that. I don't know, why can't we see you, Victor? This is weird. You're here though, right? Still, Victor?
Yes, I'm still
Okay,
here.
good.
Yeah, I just had my camera off for a second.
Oh, good. No, that's fine. I know we had talked about starting a survey, but the thing is, I am eager to go and I want us to do it this fall. I also know budget-wise, Joe, and I wanted to ask you, like, what the deals with the township matching, because we have it in the 25 and 26 budget. But I also don't want to kill us. We can, in theory, do it. I'm sorry, we have them in the 24 and 25 budget, the matching amounts, Joe, correct? We have some in the 20.
In this year's budget, we
Yep.
have to put it in the budget still, yeah.
So I think it's going to be a pretty heavy push. I'm down for it to do the segregated side this fall because we have to do the survey. But if that's killing everyone, we can, in theory, according to the grant, we can go later. We don't have to start this fall, but I don't know how that affects our matching from LMT, and maybe that's a separate conversation we don't bore everyone with. But
So Monica, this survey, is it to the visible tombstones that
Stones.
need to be fixed, or are we also doing a survey to find the ones that have fallen over
no,
and
no,
are
no,
covered
no,
by
no.
the ground?
We're doing a survey of just everything that's visible, what's there, and what needs to be fixed, because that's really all we've priced for.
Okay.
So, and we want to do the segregated side first because it's a lot less work. There's not that many stones there, to be honest, but we have to do a good job doing the survey. So, Victor, I know we talked loosely about that. I don't want to put that on you, but do you think, how far have you gone in your thoughts for that? And what do you need? Like, do you think that's going to be possible to do this fall?
And what's involved in this? Could you say a few words?
Say that again, Joe?
What's involved in doing the survey?
Measuring and being there and taking pictures and, I don't know, Victor?
A lot of measuring.
lot of measuring.
I still have to talk to Jim about it. I'd like to see maybe if, just see price wise, either see if like it exists someone that actually can do it more accurately and create a better map than I'd be able to put together, because anything I put together is going to be very basic. I mean, obviously it'll be rather accurate, but it's going to be rather basic. So it'd be interesting to see, because I know, I imagine if you've got like an actual, like either maybe even something the township engineer could do in terms of creating a map for that. But I still have to talk to Jim about that.
That's a great point. And honestly, depending on what the cost is, we could wrap that into the funds for this project. So if you think that that's a better use, obviously I don't think we want to use a huge percentage of the funds, but if it's not much, whatever you're open to, because I don't want to just dump that on you. But we do need to do that first. And so Joe, follow up, my question is, if this process takes us longer than we expected, because obviously they need to do the work before the first frost. They don't want to be working with frozen ground. So if this first part gets pushed into 2025, do you know the implications with our money that's with this year's budget, or can they just easily roll it over?
I mean, that's what we have to talk to. We need to reconcile where we are, because we have money that we put, but we haven't spent, right? So for example, Chris had money in there for the digitization project, which isn't going to happen because Chris isn't here. To find a replacement for Chris. So I think what I would do, Monica, is if you said that we can't, then I would tell David now, sooner rather than later, that, we're gonna need this, we're not spending the money this year, but we'll need this amount of money for the grant, the match in next year's budget.
Right, which in theory is already there, but then we'd need money in 2026. So it's basically instead of 24, 25, it would be 25, 26. So, okay, I'll reach out to him. I don't know if we're there.
Yeah, because we haven't submitted a budget for next year yet, so we still have to do that.
Right, I'm just saying the township has in writing said they'll support this in next year's budget, so I'm holding them to it, Joe. But I think it's totally doable, and the problem is getting ready for this meeting, I was gonna come and tell you guys everything we're gonna do, and I thought, I'm making a lot of people do a lot of work in a short amount of time. So I'm opening myself up to realizing maybe this isn't possible in the fall, and that's okay. But it really depends on everyone's involvement if we want to make it happen this year. So Victor, you and I can talk offline. I've already spent too much time on this. But anyways, grants happening. That's exciting. QR codes. I'm trying to make this work. We have open link. That's what I want. The QR codes, sorry, I wanted them ready. We all wanted them ready for the award event. They're not going to be, but they will be ready for the ghost tour. And I'm going to share my screen real fast with you all. Nothing can make you feel older than Zoom. Lord have mercy. Allow to share screen. Okay, share the screen. All right. So here is, this isn't live yet, but this is our Slate Hill Cemetery page within Lower Makefield Township. Still very placeholder, but this is a reminder, the QR code project, the goal of it is for people walking, the original goal was for people walking through the cemetery to interact with it and learn about our neighbors that are buried there. But we want to make it accessible for anyone on the internet, so that's hence the website. But of course, we can use a lot more than, we can put a lot more on the website than just QR codes. Ultimately, the majority of the information is in the QR code stuff, which basically every resident will have a name and picture. And so Ulysses, our last burial in the cemetery. When you click on this, this will be where his story is. And so in the cemetery, if you scan the QR code at Ulysses' grave, it'll just take you straight to this page. And we will have their story as well as links to all of the reference files, so all the census and everything like that, if anyone gets really excited and wants to see all of it.
Who wouldn't be?
Everyone in this room.
I would also say, I mean, Ulysses is on the other side, but making sure that we keep pictures of the stones before they're restored, because I think that would be fascinating to have the before and
Oh, that's
afters
a
on the
great call.
website too.
That's a great call, which we will. We have to take, again, part of the prep for the organization we end up working with. We need the survey with current pictures. So we definitely will get those. So I love that. That's a great idea. And there's space here for news, so we can post our latest news articles and events and everything else. Victor, as I talk about news, do you want to share what you shared with me? About news?
So news. This is interesting. I had reached out to both Yardley Voice and Yardley Living to kind of like, because they always have like an event section when they do those periodicals they send out, and I was trying to get the ghost tour added to that. And on one of the I forgot which one it was. I should pull it up. They had like a submit a story for. Let's see here. It was Yardley Living. They had like a submit a story page. I submitted, the how, the Historical Commission won the award, and they asked me if I had any more information on that. So I sent them, the link with, actually from the State Historic Preservation Office's press release on that. And I didn't really see much beyond that. And I thought, okay, maybe they didn't think it was that interesting or whatever. And then they just hit me with they have a whole article about us in it, saying they interviewed me for it. I was never actually interviewed. So there's like all these quotes from me that I'd never said or anything. So I will send that to everybody. But
Here it is. You can't read it all, you'll see it, but he's got a whole article about our award.
Good
Well done,
job,
Victor, thank
Victor.
you.
Yeah, I did ask that they add the ghost tour information on it and the at least the ghost tour on it, and no, haven't gotten a response back about that. I'm not even sure if they put it into print yet, but
Where is that going to be printed?
I'll have to look.
that's Yardley Living.
Early Living, great, great.
I'll have to look at it and go,
It's one of the little magazines, but this hasn't come out yet, right?
It's not. I don't know if it's in print yet, or it's not to my knowledge in print yet.
Love it. You're awesome, Victor. Thank you for that.
Monica, can you make sure that when we're doing the survey, and Victor, that we get a condition report back, especially for the veterans' graves, because there were a few that were borderline last time, and it's now 4 years later. We may have to replace one or two more of those tombstones. I'd like to know, because that takes some lead time.
Sure. Okay, I stopped sharing. Okay, good, we're good. And then last is just the articles. So reminder, we are doing we have Bucks County Herald, our local history month of September articles. So they do a weekly article from different communities, and LMT has September. And so Helen and Jill and Kathy, I sent you the stuff. Kathy's shifted. Who's taking it for sure? Dawn? You're gonna work together?
Yeah.
She's here, she's getting it. Welcome to the commission. But reminder of those. Any questions, Helen?
Yeah, do we want pictures?
Oh, it's a great question. I don't know, but might as well. I'll ask him.
I'll
but-
put it in, and if
Yeah.
they don't want to use them, that's
I
fine.
agree, I think. So I asked him number count. He said 800 limit.
I've got to cut half, but
Yeah.
that's all right.
And
Only
then
half?
You have the first two.
Yeah.
You're good with that timing?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Are you gonna send them to me, or do you want to just send directly to him? I can put everyone in touch if you'd prefer.
I'll just send it directly to him. That's
Okay.
fine.
I would
Or
just
it's-
ask, anytime you guys send them, just CC me, just so I know.
Or you know what? I'll send it to you.
Okay, fair enough. And Joe, you're good with the third one on Patterson Farm?
And yes, I am, and I was gonna say, I'm leaving on vacation end of August. I was gonna have this done before then, so.
Love it.
If you wanted to slide mine into one of those first two,
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me. Helen,
I
do
will
you?
have mine sent to, I'm gonna have it sent to you, Helen, so you can proofread it and do some fact
Yeah,
checking.
vice versa, it doesn't matter.
But yeah, so.
We
but that'll
can't
be
have
done by then.
egos about that, you know?
No. It's really just who's gonna be ready first. We'll get that one out first. That's all. I don't want to stress anyone out if we have one ready. So, awesome. I'll just stand by, but everyone's aware. Local families is last, and we'll figure that out and support wherever you need. I believe that's it.
That's it from your side.
I'm waiting with bated breath for the articles from Kathy.
Kathy's delegating.
Oh,
One of Kathy's lovely volunteers is going to take it over.
and
Kathy's,
Kathy and her merry band of
my
volunteers.
my merry band from Facebook.
So,
Joe, have we heard anything on the demolition ordinance real fast? Because I know they had said September.
not yet. So I presented to Harb last night, to our Harb, about the demolition ordinance and what the intent was, because I need their input regarding documentation. What are the documentation requirements? Since I'm not an architect, I figured I would ask architects. So they are going to get back to us with recommendations for documentation should a building be demolished. But I think, Kathy, as far as I know, we're still on track to have a draft come September, and we can review it then.
And I guess the other thing I wanted to say with Chris resigning, I mean, I know a bunch of us are also alternates, although that really hasn't made any difference. But do we want to recruit?
Yes,
Hello, audience?
we do want to recruit. In fact, we want to recruit someone for the digitization project. We have, Susan Taylor contacted me. There's a whole bunch of stuff that Yardley has that they don't have room for, and it's Lower Makefield Township stuff, so they want to give it to us. So we have boxes of stuff at the township office, right? We really do need to start getting this categorized and digitized, right? So we need someone, I mean, that project was supposed to be Chris and Lisa, and both of them have resigned this year. So we really need someone who's gonna lead that project. So what I was going to do was write up a maybe 3-sentence job description. And ask everyone to post that on social media, to, see if we can find someone to lead the project for us.
Yeah, awesome, yeah, that's why I was asking and to get it on Facebook, but yeah, great.
I was talking to Katie, I don't know whether the position, I need to wait for the position to be posted on the township site first. But yeah, then let's get it out on social media and, see if we can find someone to recruit and take that over.
Are we done?
Jeff, do you want to say a word, just a quick word about the historic resource survey? I mean, the RFP's out, maybe just give people an update as to where you are.
Sure. So we sent out the RFP officially to the 4 local entities that we'd spoken to back in February. The deadline for submission is September 1st. The goal is to have the submissions in by the 1st, make a decision by the 15th, and hopefully get the RFP rewarded to do the survey around the time when the leaves start falling off the trees, which makes it better for the photographs of the houses to be taken. The scope was confirmed. Jim, Joe, and I. So only if your name was Jay, you worked on this project apparently. We got that complete, and we're hoping to get submissions. We had 2 responses to the February request for information, and one of the 2 has responded favorably. They're going to give a response to the RFP. The other one I haven't heard from, but summer vacations and such, I may still hear from them. I will send a reminder out probably Monday. And the other 2 we submitted to were ones who had initially said no to February because they didn't have the time in their schedules to do it. And hopefully the 6 or 7 months difference made it more interesting to them. Also, the fact that the funds have been secured would have made it more interesting to them. So they were also included.
Yeah, it's gonna be exciting. It's gonna be a great survey, and, there'll be some work for us. I mean, we'll have a consultant come in to do this. We still have to organize our materials to get them to the consultant. There's a public engagement piece that needs to be done. So I think just in terms of, backing what Monica said about, we have a lot of things going on right now. So let's, make sure that the things that we are doing, we're doing well. And if there's things that we can't do, we just, postpone them until we have time.
That's a good point for Mitch, though. I guess that it'd be great to be able to get a poster together for the ghost tours that talks about the historic survey that's coming up, because we do that. Part of the public awareness is so that people understand there's going to be people driving around taking pictures of homes, and yeah, I would probably just put it up in the cemetery on an easel or something, just so people could see it. It's just part of our public awareness. That would work too.
Yeah, I think you could have it in the waiting area where people are kind of milling about, and you
Yeah,
can talk to them
yeah.
about it and stuff. I
Well,
think
they're
it's a
waiting
good
for the
idea.
tour to start. Yeah. Will do. Yeah. Yeah, it's part of the consultant's role to do the public engagement plan, but obviously we've got to give them guidance of where to do it and how to do it. And this might be a little early for them, so we should probably do it ourselves. So I'll get that for you, Mitch. You got it.
That's all I have.
Move to adjourn?
Move to adjourn. Second? All in favor? Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Joe.
Have a great-